Echo Our Spot. I am your host, Natalie Cosby. We are here at the Queens World Film Festival with the crew. We're going to be having our conversation, but we'll also have some filmmakers come and sit and get in the hot seat and kind of ask them some questions about their shorts tonight because it's the women. This is like the women features. So they're featuring women filmmakers and their stories. So we're going to talk about that, but we're going to jump right into it. So tonight's show is our first live in-person show. And look who I brought. we have Maria, our other producer, Miss Question of the Day. We got, of course, my buddy Sunshine.
Sunshine tonight.
Sunshine, and of course we have Mr. Malik. So we decided, Malik had texted me a topic. He's like, y'all never talk about age and ageism and dating. So we're gonna jump right into it, right? We've been seeing, I think about Gabrielle and Dwayne, and then you talked about Ron Isley and so on and so forth. So what is y'all's range? What is y'all's dating range? What's the youngest you've done, Sunshine? What's the oldest you'll do? Don't lie.
Right now, put me on the spot.
Yeah.
We'll catch a case today.
Don't lie. Because you know you got receipts. Wait, witnesses. Where?
I mean, in recent years,
In the last 5 years.
in the last 5 years, I want to say like 33.
Okay, that was his starting age, and that's
Yeah.
his age now.
I think so. I don't remember. But you know what? The good thing about it, we never really discuss it. What's the age? What's my age? We just kind of meshed. Maturity. We had some maturity where the both of us meshed, and that was enough for me. I didn't really have to ask like, what year were you born? How old are you? But I know he was 30 something.
What's your oldest?
59? Okay. Not too bad, no. No, I wasn't 13. You said recent, right?
Okay. So 59. Okay, so it was
Recently, like the last 10 years.
10 years, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Maria, the youngest that I've done was 11 years younger.
Okay.
And I know he was 11 years younger because he asked how old I was. I didn't ask.
Okay.
I don't usually ask.
Do they ever know your age, Maria?
If they ask, I'll tell. If they don't ask, I don't tell.
People asking age like
Sometimes they
that.
don't ask, especially me.
Why? Why does it
Or they might say something age inappropriate.
Hey, thank you.
Like if I'm sitting there talking, I'm like, oh man, I wish I had this VHS tape. She was like, how old are you? Like VHS tape, like you mean?
But when you ain't asking nobody about the
I said that. I was less than a month ago. I said, man, that's so DVD. Or I say like cab, and young people say Uber or Lyft. There's just certain vernacular that we use when you get 40 to 35 plus that might give away your age. I'm in my 40s.
He ain't giving away his
I kind of waver because I put a couple numbers up there. So
You got receipts.
I don't want to incriminate myself, but
As I said,
So what's the oldest you done?
6 years old.
Okay. All right. What were you at the age at that time?
13.
Yes,
No, I was in my 40s.
Maybe 14.
I've done in my 20s. I was like 53. And
How was that? How was that?
How was it?
it was my first job.
It was his first job.
It was my first job. I was like 21.
Okay, you don't realize what you said.
But no, it was my first job, and I met my
Okay,
job.
that's
It wasn't like
That
my
was
first
your
job. No, I worked at this law firm. And
All
I
right.
didn't know you had sex with her.
we just met. And I didn't really ask. I mean, I
Did
knew
she
was older.
look?
No,
You knew she was old.
I know she was older. No,
How did you find you ask her?
I think I said it in the intro.
You're like, let me go in here and see how
No, so
much shit
you mentioned also you don't see numbers. Like I said, it was cool at the time.
I'm glad you said that because sometimes it's like the age doesn't really come to surface until you specifically ask.
Yeah, exactly. But then I noticed in our interaction with certain things, I'm still doing it.
I mean, she knew all the work.
Yeah, and it was just like certain things I could see that she, like looking back now, I could see she was uncomfortable with certain things.
Like for example,
Like I took her, remember Biltmore Church Avenue?
I don't that.
Club Biltmore. It was like on Church in Flatbush. I took her there one time, like my homie's birthday. So we like drinking baby shams and Molly.
You have to start over from scratch?
Yeah. We live, okay, all right, yep.
welcome to the spot, the Stacked After Hours spot. See, we are live, and I'm not used to that, y'all. We are live at the Queens World Film Festival, doing our first live in-person show ever. We are coming up. Thank you.
No. This is our second
No, but it's
live.
our no. Where we're broadcasting live. This is
True.
I was gonna say, when did you do live?
thank you.
In person.
Don't pay no attention to Sunshine. She just high off of being live. All right. So of course I have Sunshine next to me. I have our other producer Maria. She's on the panel tonight, and of course, Mr. Malik said he would come out and support. Because he always got jewels he be dropping. So tonight we are talking about age is nothing but a number. And when I was thinking about this topic, because Malik, he's like, y'all never talk about age, women, but men always get stigmatized. He told me about Ron Isley. I was thinking about Gabrielle Union, so on and so forth. And so my first question to you guys is, what is your age range and what has that experience been? It's two parts. So Anthony, what's your age range? 5 years.
Well, I'll do it this way. So the youngest I've gone has been about 16 years younger, and the oldest I've gone had been about 10 years older.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Mm-hmm. Read.
11 years younger,
Uh-huh.
6 years older.
Okay.
I've done 32 years older. And
I'm not
20
judging.
and 20 years younger. So in my 20s, I dated someone in their 50s, and in my 40s now, I've dated someone in their 20s.
Well, at least you didn't say in your 30s you went 20 years younger, because you'd be
Oh, no.
judged.
Yeah.
You'd be judged.
Very.
I think 30s is the only age pocket where you kind of stay with your group.
Yeah.
Most people in their 30s stay with other people in their 30s.
So
But I think
I've only dated really younger, and that was almost 12 years. And then my last one, the oldest I've done is maybe 6.
That's the same range as me.
Yeah. It's, but what was y'all's experience? What did y'all learn from when you were younger and you were dating older, especially you? Because
I think I learned about manhood more, about what it is to really date someone, like going out on dates, certain things that certain expectations older women have that as a young guy, you're not even thinking about. I'm not thinking about opening car doors. I'm not thinking about I'm not thinking about curating and coordinating a night. When you're young, it's like, hey, you want to hang out? They come over.
But you did talk about you took an older person to like a club.
Mhm.
Did she have fun?
A little bit, but I could tell she was kind of out of her element.
Uncomfortable.
At a certain point, I could see that she was thinking like, hey, maybe let's go for dinner. And I had never done things like that in my early 20s.
Wanted more one-on-one time with you.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, I want to rave with your friends
Correct.
or stuff like
people
that.
doing the pepper seed and Tati and all these dances. And she's,
That was the one that was the 32
pepper
years
seed.
older.
yeah, she was just like, I mean, she had a good time. I think she felt like vibrant and like she enjoyed the setting.
Uh-huh.
But I think it also told me, she goes, how are we going to get to know each other? We can't really talk because the music is loud.
Right.
Were
Were you with your friends as well too?
and some of my friends was there.
Right,
So it was just
right.
like, she was just
were y'all popping bottles and doing all kinds of?
I mean, we were young, so it was like I remember baby shams were popular back then. So we were getting
Yes.
baby sham drinks. I didn't even have no money. I was like 21, 22. So I mean, it was like, you know,
Is
so it was like,
hilarious.
Sham, I haven't heard.
Baby Sham.
you know, like it was. I mean, we had a good night, and I think, you know, and she didn't look out of place. She didn't look
Right,
much
right.
older than everyone,
Right.
but she felt out of place.
Right.
Was
Yeah.
So
Was it
what
a
was
mixed
y'all's
crowd?
best what were the moments that you were like, how long, first of all, how long did y'all date?
Maybe like a year.
Okay.
She was cool. She was man cool.
Okay.
And I think we clicked mostly when we were in the house. And then remember, I lived at home still, so she was on her own.
So you were at her house.
So I would go visit.
You
her.
were
She-
like Juice. You remember the movie Juice?
Yes.
Yes,
where
that's
he-
how it was.
Yes.
Yeah. And then I had my daughter was real small at the time, so she was kind of like your new father, and she kind of really helped, I would say, steward me into like manhood and working in the corporate space, because I was, you know, it's my first job. So out of college, I didn't really understand like the etiquette of lunch hours. Like the guy who was mentoring me, he had took an hour for lunch, so I took an hour. And she was like, no, your break is 30 minutes. Like she just kind of like, I almost felt like, and I understand when people talk about this Oedipus complex. Now looking back, it was more like a mother-son dynamic in a different way.
Yes. See,
Yeah.
see,
It wasn't really like dating, because like she kind of gave me game to a lot of stuff, and I'm thankful to her for that.
See, that's what happens or tend to happen when you date someone younger. And I don't want, first of all, I don't have any kids, and I don't want any kids, and I don't want to start mothering anybody. And I think sometimes you kind of, because you're in that, you know, older space, or, you know, as an older woman, you tend to feel like you have to, and I don't even want to say this, but I don't ever want to get into a point where I'm teaching anybody how to be a man or whatever. I need you to come with that.
But I feel like for men who date, I've heard so many men that have dated like women 20 years, 30 years older than them. It's actually kind of celebrated, right? That she can kind of pull somebody that young, and he can kind of
Hang with someone.
hang with somebody that young. And I mean,
Yeah, 'cause she'll pull up and pick me up. She had a car. None of my boys.
I'm
and
not-
girls
I'm
our
not
age had
Hang out with her
cars.
people though?
Huh?
I have a question. Do you hang out with her people? And I'm only asking because you know that term cougar. floats
I went
around.
to 2 social settings with her, and I think she was impressed in how I conducted myself.
See that,
But it
see,
just
that's
wasn't
the
my thing. Like she took me to
You
I think this was when Tap was on Broadway. We went to see Tap.
yeah.
Then we went to like some event at Beefsteak Charlie's and something afterwards. I remember it was something that it was like a mixer, and she was shocked at how I interacted with folks and like
You weren't green.
Yeah, I didn't embarrass her,
Oh.
but I could tell that we still, you know, we got a lot of eyes, and I think it bothered
Yes,
both of us.
That happens.
Mhm.
Yes, I remember when I was 29, 30, dating a 19-year-old. Oh, Lord Jesus. But I at first started getting, you know, anxiety when we went out, and I was much taller and bigger than he was. He was thin and smaller. And
Was that more of a complex than him actually being 19?
it was my comp. It was
was
my
your complex,
issue. It was
okay.
really my issue
Okay,
because
okay.
I'm a big girl. I'm a tall girl, so I already, you know, ended up with a complex being bigger than him, and then you know the age difference. So we had that was one of my best relationships that I've had. You know, it was you know I had graduated college. He was still in college, you know, and you know we had our roles. I cooked. He was working. You know, it was really nice, but I just had some insecurities in the beginning, and then after a while, I became okay with it. I just went away.
I think it's like 29 and 19 is not that big of a difference versus 21 and how old was she?
53.
53.
Yeah.
That's us now dating somebody 21. Let's put that into perspective.
Younger than
But
younger than
Younger than
my youngest.
Younger than my youngest.
19
son.
and 29 is kind of in 2 different mental spaces. Like she might be thinking about her first home purchase, and he's thinking about getting out
Can
of
I
college.
tell you, he was thinking about his first home purchase
Okay.
at that time,
I was
and
gonna
I
say-
wasn't.
It kind of depends on the person.
Yeah,
Because
I-
my 11 years was I was 49 going on 50, and he was 39 getting ready to turn 40. So maybe it wasn't quite 11. And the age bothered him way more than it bothered me. And he would bring it up and say things sometimes. And even when we were out the first time, and he asked me how old I was, I didn't ask him. And then he asked me how old I thought he was. And I guessed a little too high, and he kind of got upset. But he looked older. He acted
At least he didn't
older.
guess you were higher.
Oh no, he didn't guess me high. I guess somebody might have trained him that way. But he thought I was a little bit younger. He knew I was older than him,
Right.
but he thought I was younger than I was. And because when I had said something about, because I know I was getting ready, my birthday was coming up, my 50th was coming up, and so I said it was 49. He goes, "Well, your birthday's coming up. You're going to be 49, right? You're about to turn 40." And I said, "No, I'm about to turn 50." And he was like, "You're about to turn 50. Well, how old do you think I am?" And I gave him like 45, and he was so offended. But he looked older. He acted older.
It was mature.
No, old.
He was.
This is different.
Probably an old sperm baby.
He just acted older,
Yeah,
Right.
but
black
but
dress
not
socks.
mature. Old,
Okay.
like older,
Older,
which is
old.
why I thought he was.
I think the other thing, especially when you especially our age, like when we're talking about 40s and we date somebody who's 29 or 28, and they're like, okay, you don't have children yet, or you want to have children,
Right,
and
that
they
is-
don't have children. I think that's one of the issues when it's with women dating younger men.
That's what it came down
It,
to.
it
with me,
always
yes,
comes
yes,
down
yeah,
to
yeah,
the
yeah.
children factor, especially if they've never had them.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think.
yes.
I think
That
I think that was
it.
one of the issues, even with Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade. I mean, even though she wanted children, he already had them. I think he was good, but he was like, okay, she was just
She's
like,
like,
she's
she
like, I
wants
want
one.
some.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to kind of that stigma around it, because I remember the one I was dating. His mama's like, she can't have no children. She old. I was like, excuse me. I was like, well, damn. He's like, I want a child with her. She's like, nah, she old. That child's gonna have some issues. I was like, well, thank you.
So now then, why do you think society stigmatizes men when we go younger?
Do they? I don't.
Kind of.
I don't think they stigmatize men.
Kind of like, women, sometimes women will look at you like you might be preying on or taking advantage of a younger girl. Because, if I'm in my 40s, I'm going to have way more resources than a guy in his 20s.
Yes.
I'm probably going to have a place. I'm probably going to have a car. I'm going to probably have more disposable income. So, sometimes you see a guy with a green bag, look, he looked like that. That could be your daughter. You know what I mean? Like I've seen it happen. And I think if it's a natural occurrence of like you just meet someone and you vibe out, I think that's very different than men who, because I do know some men who prey on younger women.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that I think is a little bit shady.
I mean, I know I judge when I see some man who's like my daddy with somebody who's like 30. I'm like, that's a
because-
sugar daddy. You know
That's your
it.
granddaddy.
You're your
know that things
granddaddy.
don't work the same with a
The
guy.
right? And you know
that's
you
in
with
that
him
age
for
group.
his pot, and that he wants the trophy.
Yeah.
Do y'all not always want the trophy, Malik?
No, I mean, I can only speak.
Malik.
Malik.
I'm gonna tell you this. I can only speak from personal experience. And like me, I tend to meet and attract younger women. And when I tell them like, I got a daughter your age, they're looking shocked. I'm like, oh, I'm in my mid 40s. They're like, no, you're not. I'm like, why would I lie about that? Like, you know what I mean? Like girls have been like, what are you like 34, 30? And I'm like, plus 10 or minus 3. Like, and they'll be like, really? And I'm like, yeah, I'm serious. So I don't think I systematically go out there and say, hey, let me go to like the kiddie park and find 21-year-olds. You know what I mean? Like,
You're not doing the R. Kelly.
yeah, I'm not doing it. I'm in
Glad to hear
regular
that. I'll
spaces.
tell you that.
I'm in
Like that
regular
one on the
spaces.
swing over there.
Yeah,
Look.
like I'm not doing it. So, I know a few guys. I have a couple of friends that we kind of look younger than we are, and we just our careers are in more youthful spaces.
Yeah.
So it happens that we attract, and sometimes I tell them like I can't date anyone under 25 at this point. I try to.
What
but
made
then-
you turn that switch on? Were you like, I can't date nobody 25?
I mean, because my daughter's like 23. So like,
So your
one day-
daughter is the gauge.
One day I was dating a girl. She was in my house. We were just talking, and my daughter comes in. She's like, "Oh my god," and she like sees us, so they're talking, and they start having this conversation like they're friends.
And
that's when you-
And I just was sitting in my mind like, "Oh my god," I felt like Mr. in the Color Purple. I felt like an old perv. I was like, "Good lord," because they started talking about something, and you could tell they was clicking.
Right.
Like, oh my god, girl, you didn't see when I had. Oh yeah, so I just. And I was just sitting there like, and then like my daughter just went in her room and kept it, and I'm like, I wonder if she's looking at me like,
What are you doing, Dad?
what are you doing there?
with
And then I thought, how would I
Did you
feel if
get
she brought in
turned
a man?
off?
I got immediately turned off by the girl because I looked at her like my daughter now.
Yeah.
And then I wondered to myself, like, how would I feel if my daughter brought in a guy 40 years old?
How
More than
would you
you.
feel? How would you feel?
I don't know. The initial man in me is going to be appalled.
Mm.
But then I would really have to see their interaction and gauge, like, okay, you know what, this guy, like they really connect. You know what I mean? I don't know, because I feel like a lot of times when people share, we also project.
Yeah.
So
Right.
my
That's
experience
true.
necessarily won't be her experience.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. I would assume that, oh, he's an older man. He probably can't get with him, because usually when I see older guys with younger women, I think he can't get with his own age.
Right.
Mhm.
They're not feeling him for whatever reason. So he has to go younger. He has to go into that pool where they don't know no better.
I mean, I guess as you say, it's the trophy, right?
It
It's something that
is.
makes a man, I guess, feel alive, virile, like he still got it. It's a mindset, you know.
And that's not even a trophy, because sometimes guys clown other guys, like, yo, you know, like a woman 35 is not dealing with your foolishness. Because I could be 40, I could be living in my mother's basement, have a nice car because I don't pay no real rent, and go out there and pull a bunch of 20-year-old
Right,
girls, right?
right.
But now older seasoned women like you guys, you're not feeling me if I'm like, oh, now my mom is upstairs, so we got to be quiet after 2. you're not going for that, right?
We're not. You're
No.
right.
And that's what I mean. So,
Like you live in your mama house.
but you know, some guy, like I got a lot of friends who live in Queens, and the way some of those houses are designed, like it's you have a basement apartment,
Right.
so
right,
it's not so frowned upon, but it's still like a woman is like, nah, you need your own
right,
away from
Right.
everyone.
right,
Whereas a
right.
young girl just happy because no,
Yeah,
her
y'all
got
get
a
a
car,
And she can spend the
Yeah.
night.
And she can spend
So
the night.
so that's why I think sometimes men frown on other men who date younger, because it's like, bro, what are you doing? Don't you got a daughter? Don't you got this? Like why? You know what I'm saying? Like you getting her because you could fool her.
I mean, we see it a lot, especially in the Caribbean, in Africa. You know, all those here as
Here.
well.
It's
too,
like Queens.
You know, Queens.
I mean,
And-
there are men in our community who kind of veer towards women that are
Yes.
probably 15 years younger, because they
Younger.
just like them older women. They be giving y'all headaches. Y'all want this. Y'all want that. Da-da-da-da. No,
You
we
know
just
what,
don't
though?
want the bullshit.
But you know what though? I think it's because, first of all, I'm not gonna call the guys that want younger women pussies, but here is why I'm gonna call them pussies, because they just can't deal with reason and they don't want to hear it. And at this point, that a lot of us are educated,
This is true.
they really don't want to hear the reasoning behind a lot of things. So they just go with the person that's going to be like, oh, girl, you give me some vodka. You give me that pink drink over there. I'm cool. Oh, he took me to dinner.
Right. I think
I'm
Red
gonna
Lobster-
be-
The young girls don't know any better. Young, that's what the young girls
It's
don't know any
easy.
better.
Well, I think it's also easy. You don't have a whole. It's not.
Nobody's going to question
There's
you.
nobody going to
Like, why
question.
you living
Right?
in
No, it's
Mama
not easy because it's
basement.
different. It's a different kind of challenge because they might be more demanding than others. Like, Daddy, I need to get my nails done. Da da da.
They
They're
call
gonna.
you daddy?
I had a girl call me that once, and that was the same girl. It turned me off. I wasn't.
First of all, I can't do that. No daddy, mommy shit.
No.
But you know how young people say that. Like that's what I'm saying. Like I think culturally we just it's a disconnect. Even though you think it might be a connection, there's certain things that just different generations do.
Young
Yeah.
people are calling people that they're dating older daddy and mommy.
Yeah.
Girl, Monique is calling her husband
Daddy.
not daddy or some
Oh.
bullshit like that.
Okay.
A lot of people use the word daddy.
I hate
But now
I
let me ask
hate
you
it
this, so-
too, but
When they do it in the West Indies in Africa, isn't it more kind of everyone is in on it? Like a father might say, "Hey, my daughter's gonna be affianced. She's 13 now, but when she reaches 17,
right,
we're
the
gonna-"
arrange.
you know, it's arranged, and there's like a financial situation and stability that's associated. So I think when it's done in that context, it's not as bad.
I mean, the Caribbean is not necessarily that. It's like, oh, your daughter is 13 now? Look at her. That's how it is. I'm just saying.
But there's a lot. Like I was talking to my friend who's Haitian,
Oh, Lord.
and you know he's always said he's just like, my first sex experience was with an older woman. I like an older woman.
The
who-
nanny.
The nanny.
Nanny.
What is up with the nanny?
But the nanny was sexually
It
abusing
was
him.
like, but
though.
he was just like, I love, and several Haitian men have told me, like, I prefer, it has set their standard on what they want. And it's just like, I kind of gear towards this type of woman because my experience, I was 8, she was 17, which is disgusting. But
and she had him like
Fully engaged.
Right.
with the
with his
fully
mouth.
engaged. With his mouth.
I mean, I think for some men, I think it's
My 8-year-old child, I would freak the hell out to know that a woman had him eating her pussy.
But you see, what's so crazy in society, it doesn't. Like if a younger,
And he loved that.
yeah, if a younger
he
man
celebrates
gets with an
that.
older woman, it's not as frowned upon and shamed in society as when an older man gets with a young girl.
Right, because it's predatory.
Yes.
You know, it's considered predatory when a
predatory.
man does it to a young girl. But when an older woman does it to a young, it's still as predatory, but it's
That's
more.
what I was telling him. I was like, you were abused as a child.
He's
He
like,
was
no, no, no,
"Oh,
no, 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 no.
No,
I
baby,
abused
no,
her.
no.
He probably said something like that.
Yeah.
I abused
I
her.
love it. I love
But
it.
do you
I
remember
love it.
those cases? There were a couple of cases that they weren't necessarily from our community, but there were a couple of cases where those teachers were messing, the women teachers were messing with the boys, and they ended up in jail.
And then once they got out of jail, they
They got
married
right
them.
back
They
together.
married
Yeah,
them.
they had
married
kids.
them.
Or like I remember I was at a wedding one time and I saw this older lady dance with a young boy. You know, like how they playfully dance at weddings, and you know, she's dancing on them, twerking. You know, like all in good fun. So I asked, I said, if I was to dance with your daughter like that, you would probably slap me. But you think it's okay to dance with my nephew like that?
What did she say?
And she thought about it. She had to think, because you know how they like, you know, they go Chad. And, you know, he's like, nah, he don't know what he's doing. But you know, everybody's like, yeah, smack her Chad. And you know, it's a wedding. And I said, if I was to do that with your little daughter,
Yeah.
what you know what I'm saying? So it's like I just feel like age is a tricky thing. And I do. So do you think people should ask, or no? You should take off the vibe and emotions of it.
I asked just because I used to attract like a lot of young dudes, and I want to just. That was the energy I would get. So I would just leave. I was like, "How old are you again?" Because I think I could be your mama. Like seriously, you look mad young. Like I can smell the Similac on your breath, bruh. Like
breath smell.
like no serious. But I just because I think what I wanted was somebody not. And it was not that they looked young, but they also the approach was young, right?
Yes.
So it was
Yeah.
just not
You
that
could tell.
you could tell,
Yeah.
and you're just like,
You could tell. Hey, mommy. Hey, you know.
And then I would get offended. I'd be like, "You asking me how old I am?" He's like, "You just asked me." I said, "Okay, fine."
But like say, I would meet you guys and I would think 30s. I would think that.
We love
I
you.
act 30s. I know I act young. I have a
No,
young,
I would just see your face and think like she's probably in her 30s.
but I do act younger too. So I tend to attract younger men because of my energy is like, you know, younger. Not that y'all act old, but
She's saying we act.
Yeah.
no, we don't. No, I'm
She's
more
fun,
like,
And
I know
we're
she's
not.
more free spirit. She's more free spirit.
Yes.
It's all good.
no,
It's
but
fine.
I attract younger guys because of that. And so it becomes like, hey, you know, wait a second. You know, when it comes down to the nitty gritty, I'm like, wait a second. But you could tell a guy's approach when they approach you.
Right.
How young,
Mhm. How young
old
they are. Because you
Well, at
really
least they're
I get
range.
conversation as well.
And
too,
even if
Malik.
they're old and they're approaching me young, I'd be like, "How old are you?" You tell me you 50 and you coming at me like that, I'll be like, "Hell no." So it doesn't really because you know some of y'all be acting like y'all still haven't. It's Arrested Development.
So do you think there's a
There are
difference between a young
certain
man's
men-
approach and an older man's
There's
approach?
certain
no,
most
well,
it
yeah.
depends.
there
It
is a
should
little
be.
bit. Yeah,
Let me
there
say
is.
this. I think it
There
should
is.
be. Hopefully there is. You can tell in the conversation. I remember when I was living in LA, I was probably, and at this time I was probably 35, but I was the oldest person at the table. He's like, I can, in your conversation, how old are you? He's like, because you're talking a little bit more deeper
Grown.
than what's going on at this table. I said, I'm 30. He's like, oh. So you can tell.
You can tell. You
Mhm.
can tell. You can
Even
you can pick it up.
yeah, even if the topic of the conversation is one that you might find with older folks, it's the way they're having that conversation. It's how deep that they go on that topic. There's always some way to something that triggers, even if you're not sure of the age, that makes you go, wait a minute, or
But there's some older people.
That's what I'm
Yes.
saying. There's some
That's
men that
like-
it's Arrested Development.
Wait,
they
what
still
did you say?
they still in their 20s. They may be 50,
But they
but
look
their
it.
approach is no, not even they yes, they look it, but their approach is
They
of
act-
25
Yes.
still. I've met some of those brothers. I'm like, wait,
And the
know
brothers
a
that try to be deep, and you're like, what
Grand
is-
Rising.
So if Otis invites you over to watch VSH, you ain't not doing that?
I listen to his 8-track.
Yeah.
if he got an 8-track
He
tape,
way too old for me.
Put
But
on some hot tracks.
so, but my question for you, and I guess everybody, like when you do date, your experiences of dating somebody younger or older or even approaching, what does that look like now?
I mean, now because I'm more conscious of my actions, I try to refrain from dating young women. Like,
What's the youngest you'll go now?
I met somebody 26,
Mm-hmm.
and it's almost 20 years older than me, 20 years younger than me. And I
Okay.
was like, I can't do it. And we had a beautiful conversation. Like, I didn't find out her age, and maybe like 2 weeks later, we were talking about something. And she goes, oh, well, you know, being a 90s baby. Like, she said something like that, and like, 90s? I'm like, how old? And I think she thought I was in my 30s. I thought she was in her 30s. Like, I thought she was older. She thought I was younger.
I mean,
And I just was like, I
But
can't.
could you? And so,
I said, I can't do it. I said, as much as a connection as I feel to you,
but
there
why,
is
why you
something-
can't do it?
because now, I guess now because I try to be more enlightened, because I listen to Stuck After Hours. It keeps me lit and enlightened. I feel like there's a slight
But what's
manipulation on my part, even if it's subconscious.
Is it can't
but
or
even
won't?
but even if there's a connection, she could be your person, and it just appears that she's literally 20 years older. Or younger.
I wouldn't do it at this point because I feel like there's something when an older man, and this is just my opinion. I haven't tested it in the marketplace to say that it's fact, but I feel like when an older man is dating a younger woman, even if you have the best intentions, there's a level of manipulation that occurs because I just have more resources in her. So even if I don't want to manipulate her and I have the best intentions, she's most likely going to be in my place because she's probably still at home. She's most likely going to be relying on my finances because I probably have more disposable income than her. She's going to be in my car. She's going to be exposed to my world and things that I'm about because I have more breadth of experience in her.
So
And I don't want to.
But what if she had the
Cheat
same
her out
amount
of-
or more? What if she was a billionaire?
That
She
might
was
be different.
Cardi B.
That might be different. I've never met a younger girl that's had more than me, financially or mentally or
that's
intellectually.
so that's the barrier for you.
No, it's not having more than me. It's that me being in a position. I feel
Oh.
like when there's a person in a position of privilege and a person who's, there's a have and a have not. And the age difference, it kind of, it
do you
kind of,
think?
I just don't want to manipulate.
So
her.
my question is just like if she was, let's say when you're 55 and she's 35, would it change? Because at least she's had some years
It
to
probably would.
experience life. Because I think, like I said, the older we get, I feel like sometimes certain things go out the window, even if it's 20 years difference. And you feel like, would that matter? Because I think 26 to me, it does feel young. I agree with you. I totally understand what you're saying. But does it, if it starts to shift, y'all circle back around, both of y'all still single 15 years later.
Yeah, 100%. It's like
Okay.
16 and 26 is different than 26 and 36 or 36. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like as you
Yeah.
get older, the age doesn't seem like if I'm 16 and say, oh, I got a crush on my 10-year-old neighbor, people looking at me like I'm crazy. But now if I'm 40 and she's 34, it's the same 6
It's the
years.
same 6
Mhm.
years,
So
yeah.
you know what I mean? So I definitely think age and experience, and that's what it is. It's not so much your age, it's your experiences. Because you have some 25-year-olds that have lived like they're 50, and then you have some 25-year-olds that are
Yeah.
really
And
25.
And I guess on the other side for me, if I don't have like a specific age cutoff or whatever, but I want that person when they meet me, because I ain't having no baby for you. I'm just not doing it, and I can't do it either. And just some experience of either being in a long-term relationship before or married before or something like that. For me, that makes a difference,
Mm,
especially if
mhm.
you're younger.
If they're younger, you would have wanted them to have been married previously.
No, for younger, maybe have a child already or whatever. Because I would not want us to be with somebody that feels like they want a child, but they can't have it with the person. So I would really want to start a relationship knowing that that barrier is there. Most men want to have kids. If you don't want to have a child, that's fine. But most men want to have kids, and I would not want to take that away from them. But for somebody older, I'm just thinking, I need to know that you know how to be in a relationship in the past.
But there are some that are, there's a lot of men our age, especially in our generation,
that has never.
that have never have kids and they're going younger because they want
They
to have
want kids. Right.
right? And so you even having those conversations,
Right.
and you just like, Nick, well, you about to have an old sperm baby. On top
And
of
them old sperm babies, you could tell their skin look all leathery and shit.
And they a little slow.
they are slow. And that's what they were saying. You know, they say old sperm that causes autism. But that's hearsay. But I've heard that. But I'm just saying, for some of you Negroes who have waited till y'all was
Find out from my parents.
So now let me ask you, so do you think younger men don't know how to date properly? Like, is a younger guy able to call
I
you and say
think
like, hey,
younger
let's go to
men-
this restaurant. I'm going to pick you up at this time.
For me, I think
I'm just
younger
saying in
men.
general, like-
I think for me personally, younger men know how to date better than older men.
Really? I feel like younger men
I'd
have
agree.
more fun, but I don't know if we know the rules of engagement.
I think it depends how young you're
It's not
talking.
necessarily rules, but
Well, no, like say at this point you want a guy to call you up and formally invite you out, right? Like say, hey, let's Friday night, let's go to dinner at this restaurant. this
It's going to
time.
depend on his resources, right? As a younger man, like it does.
and
Like,
maybe this was an anomaly for me, but I had, when I was dealing with that 19-year-old, I went to the best restaurants there is. Like I've been exposed to like some things that he curated and made sure that I had the best time.
Is he a scammer?
He wasn't a scammer. He was working. You know, we went to engineering school together, so he had a nice job and everything. But
19 going to the best restaurants? Like,
best restaurant. I mean, really beautiful experiences. Took me to the Bahamas. Like it was so beautiful. You know.
I think it's also like we were talking about vibration, right? Low and high vibration. There are certain
Yes.
men that are just going to
Child,
They're
that
going
low
to-
vibration guys.
them low vibration. That really has nothing to do with age. That's their whole vision and
That's their
outlook
aura,
on
that's-
life. Like again, you do the Lion King. Now we know why you do the Lion King, but you were doing the Lion King. So they plan. They want you to have a good time. Blah 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 blah. And that really doesn't depend on age, because I've had men who were great at that at a young age. I've had men who were absolutely terrible at an older age, and they were just like, "Can't you just cook?" No, Negro, we need to go out. Like I'm tired of looking at these four walls.
it's my Grand Rising move.
Yep.
I think sometimes too, though, it depends on, we're saying younger, but we're not giving an age for younger, right? So I think that when you bring that into the conversation, that'll make a difference in terms of how people act, what they're looking for, what they're bringing to the table, what their mindset is. I know you gave your example of 19. And when I dated a 19-year-old, I was in my 20s, my late 20s then. He had no clue about anything. All he wanted to do was knock on my door, "Can I borrow your car?" And I was like, "No." But wait, I got my boy here. I told him I could borrow your car.
That
No.
Tyrone.
Yeah. And so
You better call
Now, did
Tyrone.
he ever
Right.
borrow your car?
No. He never borrowed my car.
Like he might have got it one time.
No. No. This was very short. Wasn't even short and sweet. It was very short-lived. Because he didn't know a lot about anything. He didn't know not to borrow my car. He didn't know how to take care of business elsewhere. I was like, okay, we're good. It's just, we can just keep moving. But the difference there, right? The age difference was maybe 9 to 10 years. So the other person I was talking about, where the difference was 10 to 11 years. They're the same age
Older or
range.
younger.
Younger, both of them
Younger.
were younger. The same age range, different, but because one was older, he had, I think, a little bit more of a grown mindset. He had a little bit more experience. So
Yeah.
we're just saying younger without like qualifying how much younger that might be,
Right, yeah.
or the ages of the youngness.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I think it is. I think, like we said, between 35 and 50, you may be like, that's my boo. Like, I like him. He's cool. And he got the kids. He's got his shit together. Yeah, so what? Like, I remember there was a woman, that I knew. She was in a social group, and she's just like, I'm 80 and he's 60.
Yep.
And I keep it right. I was like, oh, okay. Like she was excited. She's like, I'm a cougar. Wow. I was like, girl, roar. She's like, he's been with me for like 20 years. I was
Mhm.
like, so
She got a walking stick.
she got a walker stick and everything, and always got a drink in her hand. But
Yep.
but I think age, where you are in your life matters.
It's true. It's true.
So you think it's society that stigmatizes it here?
I think like people with Ron Isley, they celebrate him, do they not?
They do,
Yes.
because I think it's been
First of all,
successful.
he's fine.
Because he's like 80 something and
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
his
a
wife,
baby.
I think his wife is like 47 and
Seven.
they've been together 20,
20
years.
years.
Yeah.
Right.
so he
So
got with her when he was
60.
60.
Right.
Yeah.
And she was in her 20s.
20s. And they together for 20
And they
years.
don't they have a child?
I don't know.
I think they have a child.
Oh, I know Michael Douglas and Catherine Zeta-Jones have been together about 20
Right.
something
Mhm.
years.
Right. That's what I'm
and
saying.
he has like 20 years
That's what
on
I'm
her.
saying. That 26-year-old.
But it's just like I guess it's something in me that I and maybe this is just my issue I have to work out because I did it and I felt bad doing it before.
Mhm.
I'm trying to live with more conscionable behavior, you know,
I
and,
think
and a
also-
different moral compass to be like, should I be doing this? Am I trying to take advantage of her not knowingly?
But you could do the same or manipulate the same with an older woman.
Not really though. It's a little bit different.
Well,
older
I'm
women,
saying-
older women, you can kind of only manipulate them emotionally because they might
But
have
that's-
other issues.
but it's
You know
the
what I'm saying?
same
But like
thing
with
with
young girls,
yours.
I can throw money at her. I can throw resources at her.
probably
I
There's,
can-
throw
there's
money
some
at
money.
a
There are
40
older women you can throw
You
money
could throw
at.
money at too.
But you get what I mean? Like with the older women, you know more. So you're gonna go for, like you said, you're gonna go for
You
It
less.
expect
depends on the
them to
woman.
know
You
more.
expect them
Mhm.
to know more. You hope that they have matured. But there's some older women. I'd be like, girl, how do you? But I want
Shade.
Like I had one girl who I took to Coney Island for some seafood. She thought it was the best ever. Another girl
How
was
old
like,
was she?
820s.
Okay.
Mhm.
Then I took somebody in my age group, and she was like, "Oh, you know, we should go to Block Island because the seafood there is amazing. They got the lobsters fresh from Maine. Like, you know, she
She knew
had
the
more breadth of
difference.
experience,
Yeah.
so she wasn't as wowed
Our
by Coney
palate's
Island.
more expensive.
You know what I'm saying?
Hopefully.
So I remember,
But
and I
that's
remember
just
she
one
had the,
example, though. But you could have the opposite, where the 20-something is like, let's go to Block Island.
possibly.
I think there's
Yes.
always exceptions, right? I think
Yeah.
we're talking more generalizations.
Yeah.
I want to say, Malik, there's something though that you had said about the woman being your daughter's age, right? So
Mhm.
I had always said I didn't want to date anybody in my son's decade, right? And my oldest is in his 30s. And so of course that means I leave the 20 out too. But my oldest is in his 30s. And I had thought about it for a while. I've never dated anybody that was like in his age group or whatnot, but I have family members who have dated like their son's friends. And there's been judgment and there's been conversations. I mean, and they never lasted. But I sit and I watch my son and my nephews, because their nephews run from my youngest is 23, my oldest is 35, and my nephews run everywhere in between. So when I see them all gather, and we all have a good time, we can hang out for days and weeks and crack up. But at some point, I'm like, all right, I had enough of them. I'm going in the back. They're a little too. I get tired of it. I'm like, okay, well, I need something that's a little bit more stimulating.
But that's your
Something-
sons, though. So you kind of just put them in that.
Yeah,
sort of
yeah,
box,
yeah. And that's what I'm saying. That's what I
Mhm.
deal with them, because in my head, then and they're pretty mature. So in my head, I'm like, well, if they're more on the mature side and I'm already over their conversations or over the interactions, maybe I don't want to
Girl,
go in
some
that
of
age
it, we
group.
over men our
Yeah.
ages a conversation.
No.
together.
That's what. No,
Remember the Soho
yes.
conversation?
No, but that's what I'm saying. That's something that mentally that I just,
Right.
because that's the age group and I'm watching them interact, that's something that I kind of struggle with too. And that's why I was saying, I understand when you said the girl clicked with your daughter and it was just like,
I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to hell. I can't believe this.
Right,
felt-
but
I felt
eventually,
horrible.
like I said, again, your daughter's going to get older. You're going to get older. At
Mhm.
60,
No, but in that moment, you know how in that moment, I just felt like,
right? I think it's just where they
Felt
are.
like a pedophile.
You do,
I
and
did.
I
I felt
get
like
horrible.
Morgan
Right.
Freeman and his
right.
granddaughter.
I think it's just where you are
'cause-
in your life. I think like my sister gets a lot of dudes that are
younger, the one I met.
Yes, right.
Oh,
She's like,
He's like, yeah.
I can see why.
You can see why,
I
right?
mean, she's happily married.
She's happy. Dean.
Amazing. They're
I'm
an
not
amazing
saying
couple.
recently. I'm not saying
They're an amazing couple, but
recently.
I could definitely
See
see
it, yeah.
how people would look at her. And I don't want to divulge her age, but knowing her age, I was even in shock. And I was like, no way.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I get it. I'm not mad at you. Like, and he told me he met her and he had to re-meet her because he had to solidify that. And I was
Mhm.
like, okay.
Right. And I think there are certain women that are certain people. You're just gonna be like, you know what? That's what I want. And I'm gonna shoot my best shot no matter
But you
what.
know, you said something the other day. Is it true? And you're the only guy on the panel, so I'm going to ask. Once a guy meet a girl that he wants, that's what he wants.
Correct.
He don't
I
care
had
about
this
nothing
debate.
else.
I have this constant debate with my family all the time. I said, listen, I'm a guy. And I can tell you this, because they'll say, like, oh, this guy did this for me. He didn't do this for me. And I said, listen, I'm a guy. And one thing I tell about me, when we want something, whether it's
You're
a
gonna do it.
woman,
Mhm.
a car, a home, we are putting out all the stops to get it.
Yeah.
And if he's not doing that for you,
Then
He
he don't
don't
want
want
you.
he don't really want you like that. He might want you.
Ladies, you heard it
He
first.
might want you enough to bed you down or take you out. But I said, when a guy wants you,
Yep.
I'm asking for your email, your Instagram, TikTok, phone them, because I don't even want another guy to get a chance to get at you.
Right. That's
I'm
what
calling- I'm calling you all the time. I'm really,
Yeah.
I don't want to sound like a stalker, but I'm really putting in my
No,
bid
yeah, you're gonna put in
to
your
make
effort.
sure
Yeah.
Your
that I
presence
am
is known.
correct.
by-
and I feel
by
like if
her
I'm
and by
not, if the
everybody.
guy's not doing it, and you even seen in the rom-com movies when guys are sending flowers and like that's a real reality for me.
Yeah.
Right.
And
I do agree with that because it took me a minute to understand that. And I was just like, well, I think somebody said you never have to think,
You know.
You absolutely know
No.
that he
Yeah.
wants you because he shows up
Up
every day
differently than
Differently.
anybody else.
Correct.
And it was just like, ain't nobody ever too busy for you.
Yep. Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I learned that early.
Yeah.
I
It's
was
true.
like, oh, that's what this looks like?
Yeah, you don't have to. You don't have to do the whole pick me thing.
No.
Now, like guys, I'm telling you, like, because I've had situations where I've been like, oh, I'm on daddy duty this weekend. Sorry, I can't see you. Then I've had women I like that, I'm like, listen, baby's in the car, but I just wanted to stop by to say hi.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
I'll be going to my
I'm
mom's house, but I
actually
just
glad
drove.
you said that.
But I've like driven by so they could see the car. Say, listen, I'm putting a little bit of effort. I can't spend time with you. See, I got the baby in the back. I just want to say I think and keep on driving. And they go, so like, oh my God, he came out with a baby in the car. I know he's, you know what I mean? So, and those are the things, little things guys do. When they really,
Passed by.
when they really into you.
Right,
Yes,
right.
yes.
Because I realized y'all do somebody just us doing stack singles. I was just like, they're like, I got options, and I think it's Keeson who said he's just like, there's always that one person. There's options, and we'll make sure we'll keep them warm,
Busy.
busy.
Engaged
But that
enough.
one girl that we really want,
We're gonna do everything.
we're gonna do
together.
it. We may even get on her nerves because we there all the time.
Yeah, that's true. You guys stay focused on the
Like
one.
my friends laugh at me. The guys who were just here will tell you there was a time where we were moving. One of my friends was moving. The girl I was into at the time called me. I took the moving truck with furniture in it. And this wasn't my move. This was someone else's move. I
Right.
said, I'll be right back, y'all. And I went to go pick her up and take her somewhere. And I'm
in a moving truck.
in my friend's moving truck with his furniture, him and his wife and kids are waiting at their new place. And I'm like, I'm sorry, like she called me. I gotta go.
Oh,
And I remember I got to his house, his wife was like, come on. And she came back with me. Like we handled something, and I was like, yo, I gotta go. I got his truck. She saw me. I was in a U-Haul. And his wife was like, you know what? Because I've known him, he's in love with you. So I get it. But can you please unpack my stuff now? So you know what I mean? So
trying to sleep.
So
with
that's
her
the
crib.
extent. You know what I'm saying? You go. I mean, it was like 11 in the morning. I was out. Like she's like, babe, where you at? I gotta go. I was like, oh, don't worry, I'm right there. I'm like,
Was she 20 years younger?
I don't know if I was in my 30s, she might have been like 10 years younger at the time.
Okay. So you kind of scale on the younger side. You don't go for women who are your
Because
age
that's
or
what
older.
you're attracting.
'Cause that's
as
what
you
you're
said,
I think that's what I'm
right?
attracting.
Yeah.
So that's another thing I wanted to ask you guys. Sometimes I thought maybe I should change my presentation. Like maybe wear
Are you
blazers.
trying to get an older woman?
Well, I thought, when you just kind of are following a certain pattern and trend, I think maybe if I wore like blazers or put on
Are
an
you
ascot.
are you comfortable wearing those things? Because if you're not comfortable,
I'm not, but I thought because of course your parents are telling you, like, it seems like, oh, this girl you dated was 10 years younger, this girl was 8 years. Like,
It's not even. It's like, what are they talking about? Are you really engaged in them? And are you like, okay, I know I can. Whatever you're trying to do with her, like you.
the ones I've really got, I really have liked them. Like, but I wonder, like, why do I like them? Like, you know what I mean? Now you question.
What do you
your
like about them?
conversation, the energy, our interaction. I like the idea of maybe me showing them certain experiences, and then they maybe taking those experiences and even giving me a different perspective on it. Like, you know what I mean? Like I would take someone.
Do
to
they
the,
show you their experiences?
Yeah, like I took someone to the zoo,
Uh-huh.
and they had a whole different perspective on animals in captivity. I hadn't even thought about. I just thought the zoo was like a cool experience, walk around, talk, look at stuff. She's like, I think this is crazy that they cage animals like this. And I was like, wow.
She one of them woke girls. She Black Lives Matter.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it was,
Grand
you know what I mean?
Rising.
But it was just definitely shocking. You know what I mean?
Frankincense
Like,
and myrrh.
Frankincense and myrrh.
so I was like, so I don't know, but I went through a phase where I was like, you know what? Maybe if I change how I present.
So Malik, for me personally, like when I look at you, it doesn't matter what I think, but when you talk is what's the draw for me personally. So for somebody changing and putting on a blazer, if you put on a blazer and you ain't got nothing to say, it still don't make no difference.
There's duds and blazers.
No, but I'm saying let's say I walked in with like a black turtleneck,
Then
and
that's still
maybe like
you
but
in a
maybe
black
like
turtleneck.
a what do you call it, a pipe? Is
Why
it
a
good?
pipe?
I'm just thinking like things older guys
I
have.
think older men wear
Yeah,
pipes and
pipe.
I said,
turtlenecks.
good evening, ladies, or had like a monocle. It's like, good evening,
No, but
ladies.
then we would be like, what the hell are you doing?
You know what I mean? Like, you know how sometimes how you walk in a room speaks before you say a word.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
but-
yes.
And that's sometimes
Your
what
presence.
that's sometimes what I struggle with.
But that's not just. It's not just about what you wear when you walk in that
Right,
room,
right.
right? It's about your whole aura.
And your
it's about
confidence.
energy.
When
Yeah.
you walk into the room, like tonight, you're walking in like, I don't care who's around here. I'm just walking in because I'm here and this is it. You could tell a person walking in and being all insecure, like, looking around. So it doesn't matter how I like a good, clean presentation. That's me personally. I like a polished person. But if your style is more rocker and whatever, that's your style. You should never change for anybody. I don't think you should change for anybody.
Honey, your
Me neither.
commentary is brilliant.
No, but what I'm saying
It's
is like, okay, you see like
classic,
your
actually.
outfit, like let's say if you would, and I love it, but like say if you would have took this patch off,
I took off my applique.
like say if you had taken that off, right? Say if you had taken that off, it would have definitely made the outfit not look as trendy or sporty. You know what I
Right,
mean? It would have
right.
looked more or less like, okay, she probably came after work.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But
This
I
is
would
more
wear
like-
this to work.
You know what I'm saying? But it looks more
Yeah.
trendy. So, he has the little things. And I think that would speak more to a younger guy than an older guy. Like a younger, be like, oh, where'd you get that from? That's most good or something. You know what I mean? It was
A
older-
younger guy may notice her applique. but-
Correct. That's my point.
But an older guy is gonna notice the whole package in the dress. I'm just saying. Now, I mean, listen. It doesn't matter. For me personally, it doesn't matter what you wear. It's how you present yourself.
But I think it does matter to the most what you had. Like, we do look at the package. We do.
We
We
do,
do.
yeah.
If the
We do.
package
If the
is-
package, so we have met many of men over these last 2 years where the package is beautifully packaged, and then they open their mouth and you'd be like, what did you just say? So
There was one on the show one time that he started talking about his colonoscopy.
I mean, you got to get those done. You got to get those
But you
done.
don't talk
But-
about it on the show.
But when I saw him first, I was like, oh my God, this guy is gorgeous, like nicely presented, would be really a good aesthetic for the show. And then he comes on and he's like, well, I took my colonoscopy. And I'm like, what is that?
Right.
And then you meet other people that you think is like, presenting like b-boy, rapper, or whatever. And then you talk to them and you realize, oh my God, these people are deep. They're cool. They're fun. They're funny.
Exactly. Yeah.
I personally would judge based on how people look because I like fashion and I like somebody presented very.
I mean, look, we
polished.
live in New York City, right? I'm not going to even lie. When I see a brother dressed who's like 50, still in like Fat Farm and whatever
Or the
else,
Adidas
and the
sweatsuit,
Adidas sweatsuit,
velour.
and the velour, and he got his hat cocked to the side, and all kinds of. I'm like,
She talking about you, Montaigne.
I'm He's like, no, she
But-
not.
He's like, no, she not.
No, she not.
Or like,
So
I
what?
thought one day, like say me and D Parks were sitting at a bar, right?
Mhm.
And you didn't hear our conversation. You might look at us and think like, oh, it's like two like B-boys. We could be having
Yeah,
the most,
exactly.
we could be
You're-
having the
you're
deepest
absolutely-
conversation. I'm like, so what do you think about the geopolitical state Iran. You would not think that if you
That's
saw
probably
us.
the statement, y'all. I mean, that's probably the conversation y'all be
You know what I
having.
mean? You would not think that when you saw us. And that's what used to kind of be my trigger sometimes. I was like, what are people thinking before I open my mouth?
I think they see an artist. I think
Yeah.
they
You know what
see
I
an
mean?
artist.
Yeah, I
they
see
see
an
a
artist.
A
They
little
see
bit
Or
of
like
an
an eclectic
eclectic
person,
side.
maybe.
They see-
Yeah.
Because my
Yes.
mother would be like, oh, you look like a hoodlum sometimes. Like, you know, why you
Right.
have a hoodie on? And I'm like, Ma, it's the winter time. Like, I'm cold.
right.
But she like, you could wear like a turtleneck or like a sweater vest like that. And I was like, like no, my mother got me.
That's
Is that
subtle.
subtle shade?
No, I actually have
That
them.
was subtle shade.
No, I have like a Supreme one like that. I
He's
love
trying
those.
to say that you dress in old
Nah, because he
Montana.
got the beard. You can do it with the beard. Mine don't grow that. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's like a swag. It's like everybody.
I don't
kinda
think
has
it's
a
going to
swag.
change, right? Because I think part with you, it's about who you are
Yeah.
and your energy. And
Here he comes.
there we go.
Here
You got
he
to come
comes.
see. You can see it.
Because he's walking the green carpet.
Yes.
And
With the
okay,
green
now I'm gonna
sweater.
tell you something that
But-
people would say. People would look at him and maybe say, "That's a grown man fit." You get what I mean?
Right.
I-
Yeah.
I know
There's that
exactly what
tagline.
Right.
Whereas you might see this and be like, "This is not a grown. It's a cool fit.
With your flowered
Yeah,
sweatpants.
it's a cool
Right.
fit, but it's not a grown man fit." And at what point, as you age, right, as a man, should you start to dress age appropriate?
So let's
So
Like
okay.
you said,
So
you don't want to see an old guy
let
in
me
a
ask you a question
sweatsuit.
because I've seen your Instagram,
Mhm.
right? And it's very
Colorful.
eclectic.
It's colorful and
Mhm.
eclectic and it's like ghetto fab, but
Mhm.
also eclectic, right? So what women are coming into your DMs when they see your IG?
Yep.
Because that's gonna say a whole lot.
And it's the kind that I said, the Sugar Averys of the world.
Right.
Mhm.
Now I talk about the Shugs and the Sealies. It's a lot of Sugar Averys coming
But
in
do
there.
you want a Sealy?
I do want a Sealy.
But you want her. You don't want her to
you
look
want it with sugar qualities?
Shook
No,
quality?
I want a Sealy.
You want a Sealy?
You don't want no damn silly.
I do. She was a phenomenal home. She took care of the home. She had her own
You
business.
want her looking like Cardi B.
No. What I'm saying is that, see, I think Sealy and Sugar are mind states. I'm not talking about the
Mhm.
physical.
Oh.
So I want a woman that's devoted to her family. I want a woman that can endure me, because I know I'm not the easiest person to get along with. I want a woman that has a business mind. I want a woman that's family oriented, and she possessed all those qualities.
Yeah. But be careful because when you said shook, the mindset of Celia, you remember Celia was captive for a while.
Well, no. She was never captive. She was never captive mentally. Physically, she stayed there because I think during that time period, just logistically, if you were married, you could not leave. But I think her mind was always free. She was always thinking about checking the mailbox. She was always reading the story. So mentally, she always knew this is not it for me.
She was also always scared. So that's what I'm saying. Be careful
But-
about the mindset.
And I think that she stayed for the children.
Huh?
Yes, she did.
So I think she was never really in fear. I think she understood
grew-
like her role.
I think she grew out of some of that fear. But if you really think about it, there was definitely that fear in the beginning. And,
Oh, yeah, as a
and
child.
the manipulation, not just as a child, but as she was growing. So when you say you want a Sealy, I think be careful on how you describe the
My lady
Sealy
be
that
scared
you
of me.
want.
You said you want your lady to be scared of you. You
I'm
want,
joking.
Scared of you?
I'm joking. It's a joke, people.
you want your lady to respect you
And defer.
and fear him.
No. I want
Defer?
I just want mutual respect, not defer to me. Because I'm
I
not always
understand,
right.
but I understand. I think the thing is, it's just like as women, we all go into more metamorphoses, and I think you're saying this: the metamorphosis of Celie. She became
Yes.
what you want to embody, and she in your person.
That makes
And I
that
think
makes
now-
more
and I think
sense.
maybe now too. I wonder if men are thinking younger women are more moldable. Maybe that's why we go young too.
Well,
Yeah,
I think
it's
they've
easier
always
to-
think that.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if they're not, that's just the
easier to
assumption.
manipulate, as you
Well,
mentioned.
mold
before.
them. Mold.
Mold, yeah, to
That's
whatever they
manipulate.
want, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
If I'm just showing you how to cook the meat properly.
Uh-huh.
Really?
But I think all
You're trying how to cook your
Right,
food,
but I
not
think-
cook in general.
For you properly.
yeah,
Yeah.
but-
What's wrong? I mean, but when you teach your
So-
guys certain things like, hey, this is how I like X, Y, and Z.
right.
Little to the left.
I
little to-
didn't
First
say
of all,
there was
at this
anything
age, I
wrong
don't
with
wanna
a little
teach
bit.
no man nothing.
But okay,
They
but now
should
how am I
come
supposed to?
already know.
But
But
how
it's
am
so-
I supposed to come knowing your particulars?
Oh, no, that's different. But
You know
I
what I'm
don't
saying? I
want
have
to
a
teach them
general-
how to cook.
But you're also assuming that that's always a bad thing. That's not always a bad thing.
I think the thing is the one truth in all of this, everybody's got their agenda and what they want in that relationship.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Despite whether you are man or woman. If you want somebody you can mold, she's gonna be like, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. It's the rest, it's the flow of it.
I
It's
just
the
want
give and take.
somebody to just take care of me. And when I say take care of me, What do you want? Tell them whatever.
What is your agenda?
my agenda? I don't have an agenda.
We all have agendas in relationships.
So you want a sugar
Anthea.
daddy as
We
well,
all
then?
got.
No, I'm not. I don't want a sugar daddy.
But
No,
you
no,
want
no,
the
no.
boat?
I just want them to be into me to the point where they, know what I want. If I'm hungry, what do you want to eat? Let me order something, or let me cook something, or I cooked. Or I have a drink. I have the drink that you like, or whatever.
You want to be the princess.
well,
Okay, so
I mean, but I think she also saying that she wants it in tune with her, like really in
Right.
tune.
yeah, like
Right.
you would know my energy once we start, vibing with each other. I think it's very easy. I'm very transparent when it comes to that.
But I think sometimes people can't always read that either. Even if we think they can,
Right, you have to tell them.
you got to tell
That's
them.
one thing
You gotta
a
tell
guy
them.
told me, because I told him, "Can you bring some hot sauce from Antigua for me?" And he bought one bottle of hot sauce. I was like, "You got on the plane. You went to the supermarket, picked up one bottle of hot sauce, came on a plane and bought me one bottle of hot sauce."
Would the younger guy bought you multiple bottles of hot sauce?
And
He
he's
bought a case.
Exactly.
and the
That's
guy said
difference.
to me, "You have to tell a man exactly what you want. So if you wanted 6 hot sauce, you should have told me."
See, and that's where I disagree with him. I think you have to tell a man that's uninformed, but I think a man who loves you is
Should
gonna
know better.
or he's gonna at least try to impress you.
Right.
You know what I
right.
mean? Like,
And so that's my point. I don't need, if I need hot sauce, you should know I would want 6 bottles of hot sauce or 3
Or he's,
bottles,
he's gonna, or he's gonna
or
bring
2 or whatever.
Or he's gonna bring some variety of hot sauces.
Something like
Hey,
that.
so I saw this. I just started picking up hot sauce because that's what you wanted. Every time I went out, I got.
I didn't know
That's
which one you wanted, so I got all
That's
3 of
it.
them.
That's exactly it. But I mean, there is truth to telling a guy what you want, though.
It is. I think that's the thing. I think in the same thing with men. Y'all got to say what you want and what you need, which I think sometimes is hard for men.
I don't know if it's hard for us, but I think sometimes just honesty, it's not well received. Because you might meet a guy, he might like, listen, we're vibing, we have great energy, but I'm really just looking to have casual intimacy. Are you cool with that? I'm gonna feed you, I'm gonna take you out, but I really just probably want to bed you down.
If they would say that, but y'all will
Then-
never say
Why,
that.
why would you not say that?
Yeah.
Because because you would be appalled, I think. I think
Not at this age.
I think society teaches us that a woman would be appalled by because
you
it's kind of
have
like
2 choices after that. The woman say, "I don't want that shit, so get the fuck out of here," or
Okay.
"That's
all
cool."
right.
It's 2 options.
Other than that, you're being deceitful.
yeah, but we don't want to. I'm gonna tell you the truth.
You don't
we
want the
wanna,
other option.
We don't want to. We don't want to take ourselves out. It's like when you go for a job and they say when you're available, and you say I'm available all the time, and you're not available all the time because you just want to get the job.
Right.
So you say whatever. So I think that's how men date women sometimes. We say whatever that is gonna get us to the cookie.
That's the same thing when we ask, like, what is your preference? I don't got no preference. Yes, y'all do.
Y'all
Like,
do have
stop
preference.
saying that you don't care what she looks like. You don't, because you don't want to. Well, I don't want to say I don't want fat because
Because
I
it's
may
the-
meet somebody who's fat and she fine and I like her, and I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, but just say,
But
but
just say
still,
what
it's
you
your
like.
preference. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean that.
Like nobody's gonna
It's
get
not-
offended.
No, women are better at that than men. Women will say, "Oh, I like him 6'2". I like Idris Elba complexion. I like, but men, what it's guys really. I'm gonna tell you this, and I'm sorry for revealing a man's secret. We want to appear as Jimmy Neutron as possible,
Yes.
so we never offend. So we never offend anyone.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you for
admitting
saying
And
that.
it's true.
Yeah, thank
'Cause
you.
'cause
I knew it.
I'm always like, nah, it's whatever. Like you might offer me something. I might be a
I
vegetarian.
knew it.
I might be a vegetarian, and you offer me steak. I'm like, nah, I'll take a piece. Because
That's
I'm
me
thinking I'm
all
gonna
day.
probably score. I'm like,
Mhm.
all right,
I
I'm gonna eat this
knew
steak.
it.
I'm gonna eat her
because
steak.
like,
I'm gonna score, and then I just go and think, I
They
can't believe I
always
voted.
avoid that question.
They
Like,
do.
don't worry about it.
I like dark. I like skinny. I'm like, nigga,
like to
we
be
know you
accommodated.
like.
They say I
we
like
know
women.
we want, right. It's like we know she has
Like,
to look
just
a
be-
certain
You
way.
like to be accommodated because you never know. There's a lot of cold nights out there. So I might have said something that offended you, and then you might have taken me.
Negro, didn't you just say you don't like fat girls with big ass? No.
See,
See, no, they know that.
see, and that's how it happened.
Yeah.
So I like everything. Oh, really? I like that.
Yeah, right. But yeah.
Well, wow. I don't even know how long. I feel like we've been on for only 30 minutes, but I'm sure it's longer than that. Huh, Montaigne? Montaigne, what you got to say? because we're at.
What are your
Come back and
thoughts?
stick your face
your
back
thoughts
up
on-
here.
on
Try to stick your
age?
face
Are
back
you going
up here.
younger? Are you going younger or older?
He married.
He married.
He married.
Yeah, come on in.
He married.
And
When I was out there.
you and your wife were like,
She's older than me,
How much older am I?
only a few years. However, I always went older. Always.
You always went older.
I always went
So
Why
older.
you
did you
should've jumped
always
in
go?
this
Why did you
conversation
always go
earlier.
older?
That's a good question. It just naturally, older women just naturally were more attracted to me. Not attractive to me, not attracted to me.
You are
Attractive
Haitian,
to me.
right?
I am.
You had a
Yeah.
nan. You had a nanny.
Were you-
I
were
didn't
you
get
eight?
abused.
Were
I
you
didn't,
8 years old?
I didn't get abused at 8 years. I don't know. I don't know.
He's
I don't
I don't
know.
want to say it. I don't know.
I've heard stories from people from every different background though, saying that they had an older woman, when they was very young. But me personally, yeah, I mean, when I was about, I became sexually active at 13,
Okay,
right? So naturally, I wasn't going younger.
Yeah.
because she was older. She said the
No, because if he went younger at 13,
They would be like,
that's true.
hell no,
Yeah.
I'm good.
I'm not saying that younger. It would be like 12.
Right. That's
still-
no. The girls that I was cool with that was 12 when I was 13, 14 and all that, they became little sis. And they still call me to this day.
12-year-olds were hot as
You know what I mean?
hell.
Well, people I dated would still call me to this day too. But I lost my virginity to a female who was a few years older than me.
Okay.
I thought I was grown. I always was an old spirit. I had like some pretty interesting sexcapades. So you're not getting none of that from nobody younger, almost at any age, You might get, you can get lucky, obviously. Old people don't own a monopoly on good sex. But I'm just saying, I would,
Old people.
respectfully,
own a
because that's my
monopoly.
preference.
Right.
Well, he said monopoly on good sex. He didn't insult, so.
Yeah, that's what I'm
with the
saying.
stocking gang.
Whatever.
She
Whatever.
not taking off her stockings. Mom, don't want you.
First of all,
It all comes off.
They still wearing stockings.
And slips.
And
Go
slips.
ahead.
Girdles.
Slips.
I like slips.
Yes.
Sexy.
We had that conversation.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it's
first-
multi-purpose. You could put it up and make a nightie out of it. There's a lot of things you could do with a
Lord
slip.
jeez, and the girdle.
I don't like girdles.
But
you don't
but-
like girdles.
yeah, nah, but it all comes off, right? But to your story, right? I wasn't trying to borrow no cars. I wasn't trying to live with anybody. I didn't give a fuck about sometimes an older woman would think she had to leave with her wallet or oh, I cook for you, or I don't want none of that. All I want is the companionship. You know what I'm saying? So what'd you call it earlier? Because casual what?
Casual
Yeah, all I wanted was the casual intimacy. So yeah,
That makes it
yeah.
sound so sexy.
Yo, you can tell he's an
It
artist.
I worked on that word.
I feel that.
But it's a
That
much better
phrase.
word than crash dummy.
It is.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah,
Or
so
That's for the younger
STD.
crowd.
The crash dummy.
That's for the younger
Mhm.
crowd.
Or the STD, something to do.
hilarious.
I like that.
That's horrible. That sounds crazy.
I know. I know.
Terrible.
Malik said he liked it though.
That's
STD. Something to do. Brings new color to the term. So
It
it's like,
does. It totally does.
Oh my lord.
oh, and also what I wanted to say earlier. I always hear people talk about not wanting to date younger, which I always take personal because I always tried to date up in age, right? So they always compare, and I would face this too, trying to date older women. I'll talk to them and you could be like my son. I'm not your fucking son, okay? I'm not related to you. I don't know him,
So stop.
right? You know what I mean? Just because I was born in his age, his whatever. I don't give a fuck about none of that. You know what I mean? Just 'cause I was born in his generation and all that. We not the
Have
same.
you guys ever been in a situation where maybe you're the same age as their son, or maybe you're just a couple of years off,
Mhm.
and you wake up in the morning and the son?
You have to meet him.
You
Yeah.
making
No.
eggs and he.
oh, you play Fortnite too? Yo, sit down.
Yo,
Nah, you-
wait a minute,
You've
what
met a
do you
son?
want there so I can go ahead and
Medicine.
I haven't met no sons named Mike. So you tell us the story.
No, he wasn't near my age, but I met his son because I've never systematically gone older. I've
Yeah.
always gone younger.
Yeah. Okay,
You've
that's right.
never
That's
gone
right. That's
over.
right.
That
No, he
one
has
time.
not
That one
systematically.
time
Yeah.
when you were
20s.
I find that, but that happens, man. Yeah.
I just was like, I mean, I would like, I'll date anybody that I'm attracted to.
Right.
I don't never lead with what is your age.
Right.
But I try mentally, I believe, to date age appropriate.
Right.
At this
Like, you know what I
stage
mean?
in
I
my
don't- I look-
life,
I-
I'm not asking nobody that question because I don't want to know.
Well, how old
Right.
they are?
I don't want to know.
You
Yeah,
want
and
plausible
then you're
deniability?
tricking yourself when you start thinking about, oh my God, you could be.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. Like,
no,
the
like-
age is not important.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my take.
Yeah. Well,
But I think y'all should, I don't know, whatever y'all want to do, but we can relax and do a little encore of Sa, you know what I mean? And maybe try to get a few people in here.
Okay.
you know?
Okay.
So we waiting for the film folks.
Well, let's see if the honorees would
Let's
grace
see if
us.
the
back.
honorees come in.
Shada is over there, I think. Yeah.
So how did y'all like? So give us some comments because we are gonna read.
Yeah,
We're
send
still live.
comments.
So send us some comments. We can't really read them. 'Cause
I
normally,
know.
Yeah.
normally
They-
Ree is
they
over
can-
there.
They
kind
can
of-
send it. I can if they put them in the chat.
They can.
I mean,
send
in the
them.
on the Facebook. Let me get my Facebook open.
Yeah, and the YouTube channel, so we can't see the questions.
But we're not up on YouTube, right?
We
We are on YouTube.
Oh, we
We're
are.
live.
Oh,
I think we're
well.
still. Are we still live? We're still. Look. So okay. So let's continue.
Sorry, y'all.
We had a little. We don't have a commercial. So it's
That was our commercial break.
It's no. No. So Malik, you had another thing about we just
Reports, Phil.
it was you talked about
Oh,
the body type, not body type.
No, being free.
Being free.
Being free. Yes.
Being free. So what was your give
Come
us a-
over.
My assessment.
Come over some
my
more, 'cause
assessment
they can't see
is
it.
that I wonder. And it's just a general question, ladies. Like, I wonder when did I guess sexual freedom replace like tact and decorum. So like when people want to dress a certain way or they want to twerk or do certain things that they feel is sexually liberating or allows them to empowers them in their feminine energy.
Mhm.
What is the line between that and maybe tact and decorum and just just like class and things that our grandmothers raised us with?
So first of all, you don't like that.
I can't say I don't like it because I watch it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like I watch certain music videos. I applaud certain women's outfit and attire. But then there's another side of me that's like, like what is the messaging with that? Do you want to be objectified or you just in your feminine glory? And like, I don't know. You know what I mean? And I don't ever want to prejudge or misjudge someone, but I just wonder what goes into their thinking.
Well, you're assuming that hasn't always happened because it has always happened, right? Historically, there's always been different groups of people who behave differently, who dress differently. That's why we got some of the stereotypes that we did.
No, it is, but it's like, but okay, but like, let's say like a Venus Hottentot.
Mm-hmm.
She was not as celebrated in Africa because everyone looked like her and her style of dress and her body type as she was when they brought her to Europe. So what I'm saying is in this society, since there is an outcry about the over sexualizing and objectification of women, does sometimes women's behavior play into that narrative in terms of style of dress? And maybe you see 1,000 girls doing twerk videos on TikTok and Instagram every day. You don't see 1,000 girls reading books.
You did the reading the book.
But you have to be in
Yes.
the library to see that, though.
No. What I'm saying is that
Yeah, 'cause
I'm
they-
saying how like women go to post. Like how women, how women, let's say women
Uh-huh.
post a twerk video, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Certain women post twerk videos.
And it'll be hashtag and it'll run rampant. You don't see the same frequency of women posting reading, hashtag reading.
Because perhaps those women aren't on Facebook, aren't doing the hashtag period. I think one of the things that's happened is because we are such a technologically advanced society, we're seeing more of what's always going on. And we have more people, so you see it and it's more in your face.
Yeah, you're
but these are behaviors that have always just go back to the 20s, right? And there were certain groups of people that dressed certain ways and danced at certain parties, and they always had conversations about certain girls that dressed certain ways. And so it's not a different conversation. It's just we know about it more, and I think it's more in people's face.
You don't think it's more widespread, no? Because I could say like I think the women from my mother's generation up, like my mother, my aunt, my grandmothers, certain older cousins, I don't think I can confidently say they have probably never twerked in their life.
No, they haven't. But I think there's a set of people. But
And
wait a
I
minute,
don't,
let's say they didn't.
and I don't think they
Hold
have done.
on, wait a
I
minute.
don't
let's
think they
say-
have done the similar.
But
of
let's
what
say for the
the
sake of
equivalent
for
twerking
the
might
sake
have
of
been.
argument, let's say that they didn't. That doesn't mean they didn't know people who did. And that's my point. That's not their behavior. That doesn't mean there wasn't a group of people that they knew. Because I bet you if you ask them, they'll talk about a little fast girl who used to live around the corner when they were growing up.
Right, but I think so.
But
What
our parents' generation.
What I'm trying to say is that it's not that it didn't happen, but like, why is it? There was a time in history where there was shame associated with certain acts, or they were saying do this
yes.
behind closed doors.
Yes,
right,
yes,
it's
yes.
no longer behind closed
That-
doors.
that has been removed.
There's no
You
more
are
closed
correct.
doors.
Yes.
You know
You
that
are
has
correct.
been removed. It's almost like celebrated. Where I don't think it should be shamed. I don't think it should be celebrated. It should just be it is what it is. It shouldn't be like that. Shouldn't be your goal in life, like to win a twerk contest.
And see, I'll agree with you on that. I
With a lot of
think
people, it is.
Yeah, I think if you look at what people are doing and what their agendas are, I think that's different.
Well, I think because we have moved again into that stage of no slut shaming, embrace your body, and I love all of that. I think with that comes other things that we're not. That kind of moves the needle. It
Yeah.
opens up the doors
Yeah.
of just like I don't want to see your ass
Yeah.
out. I don't want to go into the bodega and you got a net bodysuit on and nothing under it, and you know you got some extra stuff going on under that, and it's just not becoming.
Yeah, the term ladylike, or what we know to be ladylike from back in the day, kind of has been thrown out.
Or it's been replaced with like I'm a bad
And
beat.
yes,
I'm a
and-
bad
Mhm.
yes,
And what is the
and
bad
start
beat?
over,
Badass.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think a lot of women think being naked or being close to naked is, this generation is thinking that that's empowering, and I don't care what size I am, I don't care how I look, I'm naked and I'm blah 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 blah. And you see all of that stuff with the Lizzos of the world, with Nicki Minaj and all of them on stage, and they, bearing it for the public, Meg the Stallion, that's their mentor, basically.
So do you think there's a difference between like the people you just named who are bearing it for the public, but also for a paycheck versus what Natalie was talking about, the one in the bodega?
Well, the one in the bodega
Which is-
probably is a good
The one in the
She's
bodega is-
inspired by, and I love Lizzo. I love them all. I love how they've embraced that. But there is a sense of like, okay, well, Lizzo's doing it, I'm doing it. Such and such is doing it,
Mhm.
I'm doing it. And don't tell me that shit ain't hot. That shit ain't hot.
And the thing is, they're trying to get to a bag by doing it. They're like, okay, if Lizzo did, you know how many girls think they're Fashion Over models now? Well, like I tell everyone, I said,
They're what?
attention, Fashion Over. You know Fashion Over, the website? For
Yeah.
clothing?
Yes.
They get a little type of Fashion Over. Now I'm a Fashion Over model because I post on IG and I got attention has become the new currency.
Yes.
Yes.
So whatever you
Yeah.
can do to get attention, and sometimes that's just showing your body, it's like, come
And that's
on.
the technology.
And
coming
it's
in.
like, I just wonder where the mothers and aunts and cousins have to be like, yo, that's not it. Like, I get it.
The mothers and the
Oh.
grandmas is on IG twerking
Well,
too.
yeah, as Uncle Jeff would say,
Oh Lord.
Big Mama and them.
We're
Big
about to
Ain't
do
Voice
that.
of reason.
We're big
ain't
mama
no
now.
more big mamas,
We're no
as
big
Uncle
mama
Jeff
now.
would say. So I want to say this. So we went over today, so they're probably gonna run out. The people gonna run out. So with that being said, I'm not talking about Sai, y'all. Sai is more than welcome here. You know what I mean? I'm talking about the filmmakers and everything.
Oh,
They're still
okay.
doing.
I
They're
wanted
still.
to interview them.
Yeah, but they're still doing their Q&A, and it's longer than they were supposed to.
Okay.
Because they started
Yeah.
later, so we're good on that part.
Okay.
But I, on behalf of the Queens World Film Festival, as a board member, want to say congratulations to Sai for all that you do. You ladies and gentlemen, but you ladies who produce this weekly Get Up for a year straight during the pandemic on Zoom, on a private Facebook group, kept people's spirits lifted. I enjoyed watching it for a year. Thank you for allowing me to produce for you guys, or ladies, excuse me, for you boss ladies.
You can say
All right.
that, guys. It's okay.
Okay. So with that being said, I just wanted to show you honors, and please come back Okay,
Wow.
during because
Wow.
this is only the second day, and Saturday is going to be one of the screenings that I really hope you all come to. But we're going to do a brunch that day as well, early in the day if you have time, and then we're going to do an after party after the night. So I don't know if y'all want to do an all day thing, but
It's here.
We may have to do an
After
after
party.
it's all
because
going to be
we
in
have,
Queens. I'll send details.
Yeah,
We'll all be in
please.
Queens, and I want to take more pictures because what you guys before we get up out of here. And yeah, salute to Sai, salute to Stack After Hours. And
Hey.
Miss
you.
Betty said she loves seeing you all live.
Oh,
Hey, Miss Betty.
And she said out the boxes. And Miss Betty, don't say that because I need them in the boxes in between live shows. But she says she want to see you around New York City, and we can facilitate that. All right?
Absolutely.
So
I love
thank you
it.
for your patience, and I'm
Thank you,
glad that we got to
Monte.
make this happen. And congratulations again, and honors to you women for executive producing a beautiful show that's going to go far. Real talk.
Yeah.
You gotta make this. This gotta be a
Yes.
movie.
Nice.
Yes.
You gotta get
And
it right.
can I just say something? Because Malik sent me a song. So
Oh, yeah.
we officially have a Stacked After Hours song.
Yep,
So
come on.
I just want to say, and he's
Come
about to
on.
move to Columbia, but he is like,
I'm gonna be back for this.
he's it.
You be back this
He is
Saturday.
it.
Yeah.
And Montaigne reached out to me. He's just like, I want to produce a show. I was like, all right. I was like, Anthea, Maria, Montaigne want to produce a show. I was like, I don't even know what he does, but I think it's just gonna be dope. So thank you.
Thank you.
It was
Yes.
amazing. This has been amazing. Thank
Now
you.
you
for
guys,
coming
now you
up.
guys have an amazing platform.
Thank
Love
you
it.
guys.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Night, everybody.
I wish I wish I had the Montaigne voice because you know he sounds like the sexiest man alive when he's talking. He's like, yeah, ladies, hey, R&B singer. But now you guys do have an amazing. This is really it's amazing. I love it.
I thought you were getting ready to do the song.
Oh no, I was just trying to Montaigne.
No,
No, we're gonna put the song in the rotation next weekend. I was gonna kind of, I forgot to send it to him, but we'll put it into the.
Now, how'd you guys think of this? That's a question I'd like to know. You guys just out partying one night and say, you know what, girl,
Tell your
Okay,
story.
so
I'm getting stacked tonight. Was
Tell
that
your
your
story.
co-word
So,
for you?
so during the pandemic, we had come back. This one had turned a milestone. This one had turned another milestone. We had celebrated their weekends, and we had been together. It was like almost a year, and I was like, I love y'all, but we need to start talking to men. Like I was like, I'm gonna do a Zoom call because we have all these conversations about men, but we're not talking to them. So I was just like, let's start it. Let's see what happens. And it's been going since January of 2021. So it'll be 2 years in January. Yeah. So Montaigne took us viral. We went on Facebook. I was like, well, let's take us to Facebook.
Yeah.
Because it was literally a Zoom call. It was really like trying to meet someone.
Yeah.
So that's what it was.
And it was good to just have some male energy around. I mean, I love y'all, but
It's okay.
y'all ain't got penises.
We don't. We don't have extensions. We
No.
don't have the penal cord. So it was really, and I was just like, you know what? I used to, before I met them, I used to do this thing in my house called Conversation Black. And I was like, you know what? Let's bring it back. I was just like, I really want to talk to us because I feel like our community is kind of like all over the place, especially at this age. Like we're all like late 30s, all the way up to 60 and plus. So I'm just like, let's have conversations about, what we're doing. A lot of us are single still. I never thought I would be single at almost 50. So I was like, let's see what we find out here. And we were online, we were on Bumble, and I was like, this shit is terrible.
Terrible, yeah.
It is
Actually,
absolutely
half of
terrible.
the guys that I met on Bumble are in the group. I was like, those are my brothers. Like, those are my brothers.
So we started recruiting on Bumble, and I wouldn't get on Tinder because I was just like, okay, let's get on Bumble. And that's how I met Keith, and I met a lot of other men, and I pulled men I knew like D Parks and other folks in, and Ronnie brought you in, and I met Ronnie in the street. Hi,
Ronnie.
Should have been on Christian
missed
Mingle.
ya.
She been on Christian
I said you
Mingle.
should have been on Christian Mingle.
We
You
would have
met
found
the
somebody
right man.
with a slip.
Yeah, we need it because we need as women, we don't want to make assumptions. And I was watching Kevin Samuels.
Oh, girl. That was the age of
just
Kevin
like-
Samuels. Actually, he
I
took
was like,
advantage.
this conversation is so one-sided.
He took advantage of the pandemic.
He did,
He
but
did.
we wanted to take it back.
Yes,
He did a take
and
back.
what he did was speak for women, which I really didn't like. So
Right.
it was a good thing that we invited men on to speak for themselves.
Right. And so we've
So-
met some jewels like this one and Montaigne and other people. So it's been a blessing.
Yeah.
So thank you. This is the Stack family and more.
Yes. Absolutely.
So definitely subscribe. I said I had 3 birthday wishes. Nobody liked it, but that's okay.
So, but wait. Let me just read 1 or 2 comments from the
Please.
conversation before, because it's our friend to the family to the show. D Parks is watching.
What did Deepak say?
He said, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says a man should date a woman no more than half his age plus 7.
Amen, brother.
That's why we got all these children.
Amen.
I was
I
gonna
remember
say,
that.
and he did the number of women.
Yes. And the plus the number.
She must
He had 5. Right.
So,
half
so-
his age plus 7.
yeah. So Karen Knowles said she was given the side eye. Karen eye.
Hi, Karen.
Yeah, let me see. And D Parks. The mothers and grandmothers are looking crazy for their age, like MJB.
Don't be talking about and so are the grandpapas with the hats
Okay, like
to
when
the
Diddy,
side.
like when Diddy was dating a city girl. I don't know how I felt about that.
That's gross. I'm sorry.
Is it gross? Why? Because what's Diddy 50? About 50?
No, he's like almost. Did he 55? He's like
If he's not
55.
55, he's right behind there.
And the city girl is probably 25 at max. 18, I think.
He's like, I love you, Pappy.
Wasn't he dating the mother and the daughter at the same time?
He's 52. Okay.
I think he dated. the
I thought that
mother.
was recently.
It was like last year. Last year, yeah, he was. I mean,
That's 25. He could have had. That could have been his child.
I thought he was dating the mother and the daughter.
but now didn't you just say earlier that could be your soulmate? That could be.
Right, I'm
Not
saying-
mother and daughter.
Thank you. Thank you, Montaigne. Thank
You never know.
Thank you. Exactly. I mean, yeah, they could be. Give them 20 years. He can date her when she's 45, not 25. She got to live a little. That's the thing. Let people live.
So
I
do you
couldn't,
think- so do
I
you think
couldn't
dating young- do
imagine.
you think
I don't.
dating
I
young
couldn't
robs them
imagine
of
me
living?
dating somebody when I was 25, 50.
You couldn't.
Could you?
No. As a matter
No.
of fact, I remember 50 was old.
And now you're there.
I mean,
You were age shaming in your
I was
20s.
age shaming in my 20s. I was like, oh, hi, y'all are 50. I clearly
I
remember
mean, 50
that.
looks different now. We're saying that because we're 50. It probably doesn't, but we believe
Maybe
that
it
in our
does.
head that we look different than our mamas. But
Now
now,
this generation does.
I had somebody tell me at 38 that I was not 38, 35, that I was midlife. And she said, y'all are old. And she was 20. And I was sitting there with a friend of mine, and we looked at her and we were like, what are you talking about? Well, she said, think about it. If you're 35, then half your life is already over because you're not going to live past 70.
Well, damn.
I mean, people are living longer. But
Yeah.
Now, I remember I felt older. They said something like it was Biggie's 20th anniversary or 25. I'm like, man, Biggie been going 25
I mean,
years?
when I posted Mary J. Blige today, I was like, we old.
Yeah, certain times you just get a like.
You realize when you were like, if she really looked like she was struggling.
But she should anyway. That's a
And
different
I love
story.
him, yes. But I know, but I think that's the thing. There are people who are just trying to hold on to those their prime
that fleeting.
years.
I don't
And
think
it's
that's
just
the prime
like-
years though.
No.
I think this Western culture teaches us that youth is to be the most celebrated thing. When you go to Africa and them Eastern cultures and Chinese, the elder statesmen are revered. They're celebrated.
Right.
Mhm.
So it's like I feel like Barack Obama's always been my example because I feel like he's aged gracefully.
This
as that
Somebody
woman
said-
said, you
You
a fine
found
And he's kept his swag. Like he came in with the young kind of presidential swag, and now he's kind of aged gracefully and been age appropriate in how he's trended, and he's still cool. So it's like you don't gotta be 40 and try to be 25. Be 40 and be dope at 40.
Right, but I think I think people are having a
Yes.
hard time embracing their wherever they are. right? They're still trying to hold. I see that all the time in the streets. I'd be like,
And it
Yeah.
actually looks stupid because it's like, really?
Well, sometimes, and I'll admit it's hard. I colored my hair for a long time because to me that gray meant old, and it just. Yeah, but I'm just saying for
Okay.
a while that just it took me a minute to get there because of what society dictates and how people
Depends on where you
react.
see the gray hair, though. But anyway, that's
you know what?
On that note, right?
On that note, we're about to call it a night. Thank you, Malik, for coming out. Thank you, Maria and Anthea, and thank you, Montaigne and his crew. This is and the Queens World Film Festival. Thank you for letting us really do this space. This is an amazing place, and I think we're going to try to do more in-person shows.
And check out the films of the Queens.
Yes, definitely
Film
check out the
Festival.
films,
Yeah.
especially there. It's going on till Sunday. So come out and support, please. Hopefully, we'll be back and do some other things. All right.
All right.
And we're out. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
I gotta.